రామచంద్రుడితడు రఘువీరుడు కామిత ఫలమూలియ కలిగెనెందరికి రామచంద్రుడితడు రఘువీరుడు. Namaste, good morning. Welcome to the Stories with Rani Jayanti, a journey into the series of Dasavatara, the 10 major incarnations of Lord Vishnu, wherein Lord Vishnu had incarnated from time to time to eradicate the evil and to restore the good. Yes, in our previous episode, we have seen the birth of Rama, how Rama married Sita by breaking the bow, and how Kaikeyi had asked two powerful boons, and how Rama was sent to the forest for 14 years of exile. Yes, and today we are going to see what all happened. Once Rama left to the forest, Dasharatha collapsed. He was swooned in grief, and he could not tolerate being parted with his son, and so within no time he died. Upon hearing his father's death, Bharata, who was at his maternal grandfather's place, immediately returned home. And coming to know the situations for the catastrophe, he immediately scolded his mother and told her that he was not at all interested in becoming the king when Rama, his elder brother, was there. And after completing the funeral rites, along with the entire army and the three queens, Bharata set off to the forest in search of Rama. In the meantime, Rama reached Panchavati upon being advised by sage Agastya, as that was the proper place for him that he could stay there. He was staying along with Sita and Lakshmana in his Parnasala. Panchavati that time was ruled by Surpanaka, the sister of Ravana, along with her brothers Kara and Dushana with their 14,000 army. One day, as Surpanaka was wandering in the forest, she saw Rama and she fell for him. And she approached him and asked him to marry her. But when Rama rejected, Surpanaka wanted to divorce Sita. But in the meantime, Lakshmana came and he mutated Surpanaka's ears and nose and insulted her. She could not take that insult. In vain, Surpanaka went to her brother Ravana and told him the entire story, that she wanted to bring Sita for him, and Sita was the most beautiful female that she had seen in this entire universe. And when she had told Ravana about Sita, Ravana wanted Sita for him. Okay, and then he immediately called Maricha. Maricha was the one whom Rama threw far away in the seas at the time of the Vishwamitra's yagnas, right? Yes. And both Ravana and Maricha started off to Panchavati. In the meantime, Kara and Dushana, along with their 14,000 army, went to fight against Rama and Lakshmana. But within no time, Rama single-handedly defeated the entire army and killed Kara and Dushana too. And after going to Panchavati, when Ravana saw Sita, he wanted Sita at any cost. And therefore, he ordered Maricha to disguise himself as a golden deer and wander in front of the Parnasala. And Maricha did as told by Ravana. When Sita saw the golden deer, she wanted it, and so she called Rama and asked him to get the deer for her. Rama went after the deer. After going some time, Rama sensed something wrong. He immediately attacked the deer with his bow, and the deer fell down shouting, "Hey Sita, hey Lakshmana," and transformed into Maricha. When Rama was shocked, he understood the entire situation and he returned back to the Parnasala. But before that, when Sita heard Rama's voices shouting, "Hey Sita" and "Hey Lakshmana," she got agitated and she immediately sent Lakshmana to search. But Lakshmana was reluctant to leave Sita all alone in the Parnasala and go. But Sita used such cruel words against him that he had to go. But before going, he drew a line and ordered Sita not to cross that line under any circumstances. Once Lakshmana left in search of Rama, there arrived Ravana in the form of a mendicant, a sannyasi, and said, "Bhavati bhikshan dehi." He wanted an offering. And Sita innocently brought the offering and was about to put in the bag of the mendicant, who was none other than Ravana, but he rejected to accept the offering before, as she was standing outside within the line. He ordered her to come out of the line and give him the offering. And Sita had no other go. So she had to cross the line and she went to give the offering. Immediately the medicine turned into the Rakshasa Ravana, and upon seeing the ferocious Ravana, Sita collapsed to the ground. And immediately Ravana picked her up and he put her on his aerial chariot, that is the Pushpaka Vimana, and set off to Lanka. Seeing Sita being carried away by Ravana, the greatest bird, Jatayu, immediately flew after them, and the Jatayu started fighting with Ravana. But Ravana cut off the wings of the poor Jatayu and he collapsed to the ground and he flew away. In the meantime, when Rama and Lakshmana returned to the Parnasala, they were flabbergasted to see that Sita was not there and everything was spilled over there. They understood something might have went wrong and they went inside into the forest in search of Sita. Hey Sita, hey Sita, they kept on shouting and they went in search of Sita. As Ravana was taking Sita in his Pushpaka Vimana, Sita looked down and found few Vanaras and few other animals on a hill. That was a Rishamukha hill. She immediately tore a piece of her sari and kept all her jewels and she threw them down so that in case if Rama comes in search of her, he can know about her whereabouts. So she dropped them down from the Pushpaka Vimana. And as Rama and Lakshmana set off their journey in search of Sita, they initially came across a lady called as Sabari. Sabari was a great devotee of Rama. Sabari offered them some fruits and she told them to go to Rishamukha so that they might be getting any help there. And as told by Sabari, both Rama and Lakshmana set off to Rishamukha with the help of a demon called Kabanda, whom Rama killed. Okay, the demon took them to Rishamukha hill. On the Rishamukha hill, there lived Sugriva, Jambavanta and Hanuman and rest of their army. Sugriva actually was the king, but he was being cheated by his brother Vali, who also abducted Sugriva's wife along with his kingdom. And Sugriva was left with no choice because Vali had the power of defeating anybody else who comes in front of him. Because anybody else who comes in front of Vali, he could absorb all their power and could easily defeat them. So that way Vali cheated his brother Sugriva. And Vali stayed on the Rishamukha hill along with Jambavanta and Hanuman. When Sugriva used to live on that hill along with Jambavanta and Hanuman. When Sugriva saw Rama and Lakshmana coming, he doubted it could be the enemies sent by his brother Vali. And therefore he ordered Hanuman to go and find it out. When Hanuman went in disguise of a Brahman to find out who they were, Rama could easily identify Hanuman. Then Hanuman became an ardent devotee of Rama. He took his blessings and he brought both of them to Sugriva. And when Rama recounted them the entire story, Sugriva also told Rama about his bad fate. Then, upon mutual agreement, they thought of helping each other. In the meantime, Hanuman showed the sari that was dropped by Sita from the Pushpaka Vimana as well as the jewels. Then they understood that it was none other than Sita. Then Rama went and killed Vali and handed over the kingdom to Sugriva along with his wife. And then Sugriva had sent his entire army in 4 directions in search of Sita. East, west, north and south. East, west, north people, they returned back without no news of Sita. But the ones who went to the south were Jambavanta, Angada and Hanuman. They did not want to return home without finding Sita. And they prayed God. As they were searching for Sita, they got to know about Samputi. Samputi was the brother of Jatayu. Samputi, the eagle king, approached them and told them about the whereabouts of Sita, that she was taken by she was taken over by Ravana to Lanka. And immediately Hanuman, with all his mighty powers, set off to Lanka in search of Sita. Hanuman disguised himself as a small monkey, and he was first abjected by Lankini, but he fought with Lankini and could finally enter into the Lanka. And he searched all the palaces and all the places in search of Sita, and finally could find a lady sobbing in the Ashokavana. Then immediately Hanuman went and showed her a ring that was given by Rama at the beginning of the search. Sita was so happy. She blessed Hanuman and she told Hanuman to ask Rama to come and save her within no time. And she also gave a Chudamani from her head as a proof. Then Hanuman happily flew off to the place. But before that, Hanuman was captured by Indrajit, Meghanad, the son of Ravana, who got the name Indrajit as he defeated God Indra sometime back. And he was captured, and Ravana wanted to kill Hanuman, but he was saved by Ravana's brother Vibhishana. But still Ravana set Hanuman's tail to fire, and Hanuman took it as an opportunity and he put the flames, he set on the Lanka on fire, and immediately he returned to the place, that is the Rishamukha hill, and informed Rama about the whereabouts of Sita, and everybody were in great happiness. And they pulled their entire army and they set off to Lanka to fight with Ravana. They reached the place where three seas join, but they were shocked to see that how could they cross the 7 oceans to reach Lanka. But with the help of the ocean god, within no time they could build a Varadhi, a bridge to Lanka, and the battle started. Ravana took it nothing because he thought it was only 2 human beings and all the monkeys and other animals. They could do him no harm, so he was very careless. But as Rama, Lakshmana and entire Vanara Asena, that is the army, started attacking the Rakshasas and started killing his army, Ravana got scared. But he sent his son Indrajit initially, that is Meghanad. After a battle, Indrajit was killed by Lakshmana. And then came Kumbhakarna, Ravana's brother, who was gifted to sleep for 6 months altogether and only get up once in every 6 months. And Kumbhakarna also had a great battle with Lakshmana initially and all the other army. Hanuman, Jambavanta, Angada, everybody fought with Kumbhakarna, but none of them could defeat him. And Lakshmana finally showed all the valor, all his strength, and fought with Kumbhakarna. But finally it was Rama who killed Kumbhakarna. And then it was the turn of Ravana. Before the battle had started, Vibhishana already warned his brother that Rama could not be considered as any ordinary person, and since that he had captured his wife, he would die. So it's better to return back Sita to Rama and take his blessings and beg his forgiveness so that at least he can live with his kingdom. But Ravana did not accept it, and in fact he punished his brother Vibhishana and he sent him out of the kingdom. And then Vibhishana approached Rama. So amidst the disagreement and disapproval of the entire army, still Rama accepted Vibhishana as one of his men. So Vibhishana was a devotee of Rama and he was always by his side. And then when the battle started between Rama and Ravana, it went on for days and days together, because Ravana was also a very powerful demon. And finally, though Rama was continuously trying to attempt to kill Ravana, he was not getting killed. He never got killed. Then Ravana's secret, that is the Amrit which he stored in his navel, was revealed by Vibhishana to Rama. Then Rama took his bow and he prayed to Lord Brahma, and he had attacked Ravana at his navel region, and finally Ravana was killed. And Sita approached Rama. But Rama was reluctant to take back Sita to Ayodhya. He told that Sita, you stayed at an evil place and with an evil man for so many years, for 1 year, right? For this many months. And if I take you back without your innocence being proved, I'm going to leave a bad message to the people of my kingdom. And Sita was, she collapsed, but immediately she ordered Lakshmana to arrange for a funeral pyre. And she prayed to the god Agni and told him that, hey god Agni, hey Agni Devata, please prove me stainless or else burn me in your fire. Saying this, she jumped into the fire. Then the god Agni appeared and he told Rama that Sita was innocent and she was not being touched by any kind of evil, and thus handed over Sita to Rama. And immediately Rama, Sita and Lakshmana along with the entire Vanara army, they started off to Ayodhya in the Pushpaka Vimana, where Bharata along with the three queens were waiting for their arrival. Thus, after completion of these 14 years, Rama returned back to Ayodhya and he became the king of Ayodhya. And along with Sita, he ruled Ayodhya for thousands and thousands of years, where Dharma prevailed everywhere. And that is the greatest story of Lord Rama, who taught what humanity is, who taught the value of humans, who taught the value of women, the protection of women, the person who killed Ravana and Kumbhakarna, who were none other than Jaya and Vijaya, and released them from their second cycle of birth, from their curse. And that is the story of Rama Avatara, the seventh Avatara of Lord Vishnu, children. Yes, did you all like it? Yeah. And next time I'm going to come with another wonderful Avatara of Lord Vishnu. Till then, stay tuned. Bye-bye.